looks like to me.
Is this something you'd buy? Because if your contract were up, you'd have to choose. You love your Note 2. We both have Samsung Galaxy Note 2s. And I don't really use the stylus that much, but you use it a bit. Would you consider buying the Mega to get the larger screen? Or would you stick with the next, whatever the current generation of Note is?
I have to tell you, I like this phone that I have so much. If my contract were up, I would be keeping it. I just, I haven't seen anything on the horizon that really begs me to move yet. So, I mean, I've got plenty of power. I've got great screen. I've got user replaceable battery, micro SD card. I really don't need anything else right now. So it'd have to be pretty fancy. I mean, I'm not even interested in the new 8-core processors are out there. I mean, this is enough for me. But for somebody who was looking, and they were out of contract and they were looking at the Note 3 or this, if they wanted to have the bigger screen, then this might be the phone for them.
Now, Nate, I know you love your Virgin Flip. Just kidding. I'm trolling Nate. Would you consider a phone like this, or is this ridiculously large?
I would not consider any Samsung phone that has TouchWiz.
Would you consider it if they did a version like the Google? They did a Google S4, which has pure Android, right, with no TouchWiz. You buy it outright, and you could use it on T-Mobile.
Yeah, again, the only issue is still got to go through Samsung for updates, so it's a little lag. I'm just a Nexus guy, so. I do like the size of these phones. I think it fits a niche between phone and tablet. I'm kind of excited about like the Sony Xperia Z Ultra. I think that's a pretty cool niche. But as for Samsung, no, I'm not really excited.
Are you surprised that it's coming with 4.2.2 and not 4.3?
Am I surprised?
Yeah, I mean, it's a new phone. I mean,
no, because they've had a chance to work with 4.2.2 now, and they're just going to throw TouchWiz on top of it. I mean, that's people get kind of caught up in what version they're running, and in a lot of ways, when you have a skin device, they take care of a lot of the Android updates with those skins. Sometimes not as well, often not as well, but it doesn't really matter because they're just throwing, especially something as heavy as TouchWiz. It doesn't matter what Android version you're running. That was all really built on top of Gingerbread anyway.
Bruce, you say this is a new phone. This isn't a new phone. This phone's been out for a while, just not in the U.S.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because...
Yeah, we talked about it, I think, in Google Plus Week a while back, or this show, I can't remember, when it was coming. I think it's in Europe and Asia. Duke, is this something you'd buy?
Yeah, you know what? I like a big display on the phone. I guess if my contract was up and I was shopping for a phone, I would probably consider this one. I'm not real sure that I would buy it, but I'd definitely consider it.
Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts on this? The latest awesome Samsung product? Okay. All right. And then I'm looking here. I see a breaking new Google Plus update, which I'll be checking out in just a second here from Vic. Okay, next up, this is kind of interesting. This is a 12-inch Samsung tablet is in the works. Could arrive in October. There's a push all these companies, Sony with the cameras and Samsung with the cameras and stuff, and the phones. They're all trying to get stuff out for Christmas, of course, for the shopping season. So this is a 12-inch Samsung tablet. Could be in the works. Now we're talking about the Surface-sized devices, right? What do you guys think about this?
I'll tell you, there is, normally I would prefer the 7-8 inch genre of tablets, but there's something about this that intrigues me. I play in a band, and we use an app called Planning Center, and there's a function within Planning Center where you can put up your chart, and so you could put this 12-inch tablet on a music stand and have your music right in front of you. I mean, and it would be nothing, while you're playing, to reach out there and flip to the next page if it was 2 or 3 page, manuscript or anything else like that. So that would be kind of an interesting thing for me. But that would be the only reason I would be interested in this for me personally. Again, if you get a 12-inch and then you're going to want to pair a Bluetooth keyboard with it, then you might as well have a Chromebook or something else like that. So.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, I'm sure that a 12-inch tablet might be great for somebody, but right now I've got an 11.6-inch Chromebook that basically is on my lap anytime I'm not sitting right here where I'm sitting now, So I'm not sure that it would be something that I personally would be interested in. However, I don't think that 12-inch tablets are necessarily going to be too large of a tablet size.
Yeah. Okay. So this is, another tablet. Okay. Just one quick note here. I just saw this, and I'll share my screen. Okay. Just kidding. This is from Ed Chi, I guess is how you pronounce it, at Google. And you can now translate posts right in Google Plus. This is not an Android thing, but just because it's breaking, and most of our folks are watching on Google Plus or YouTube and use Google Plus. But here's the tube, and here's the post in Spanish, and now you have a little translate button, and then it translates for you, and you can show the original text. So they're implementing Google Translate into Google Plus, so that's cool. That's a neat feature. I know that'll make Michael Ellis very happy.
And we'll be covering it in excruciating detail this Friday on Google Plus Week.
In Spanish, actually. Okay, so next up, the beloved smartwatch that I really want to buy. There's a rumor here, and then there's a mock-up from Android Authority. This is from Chris Smith, and that's, I guess the pictures are neat, but bear no relation to the device. And then Bloomberg had a story about it. I guess it's the Bloomberg story says you're going to be able to make a phone call. So that brings up whether it's going to work through your phone or if it's going to work on its own as a 4G device potentially, or maybe, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? I know some of you guys are eager to get a smartwatch, and some of you think, you're passé.
The closer we get to the smartwatch and the more, rumors and screenshots, it is beginning to pique my interest a little bit, especially, based on some of the good points that Alan has made over time. I'm just kind of curious, since, Nate, you are part of Android Authority, how close are we getting on some of these screenshots, or obviously they're still rumors and everything. Are we getting any closer idea as to what these things might actually look like, as well as the specs?
That's a really good question. I would think that for something like this, when you look at the article, I would say the specs are probably, I don't want to call them dead on, or I don't want to say they're accurate, but I'm sure that that's a very close representation of what you'll see in terms of specs.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of design, I can't say that that's exactly what it's going to be. Who knows at this point? It makes sense from everything we've heard about this one, with the curved display and all that kind of stuff. But it's hard to say with actual design at this point.
Do you really think this thing's going to have a camera?
I said close. I didn't say exact.
Okay. Because I saw that in the spec list. I'm like, camera?
To me, a camera or the ability to make calls from the watch itself is just a poor idea.
Yeah, it seems like a horrible user interface design.
Yeah, that would be pretty tough. I mean, I can understand if you had a Bluetooth dialing on your wristwatch or smartwatch, whatever you want to call it. That could be handy, but I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to make a call with this thing, and I just wouldn't want to do that.
Well, we don't know. I mean, it could be like, Agent 7. I don't know. We'll wait. I mean, obviously we're waiting. It's just, I'm really excited about, you're driving or whatever, and something buzzes, and it's mom, what's up, mom? That kind of thing, without having to, hit the button, swipe, So, I don't know. We'll see. But this is cool. Bring it, lots of competition, good thing. Okay, so then next, this is...
before we move on
yes,
to the
sir.
next one, we had this question from Kevin Bryan. How soon before Samsung starts releasing a Tizen Android dual boot mobile client? Any thoughts before we move away from Samsung stuff?
Kevin, everything we're hearing is that Tizen is pretty much dead. The last time we saw Tizen, I believe, was earlier this year in January in Vegas, and even then it was a very, very crude build of Tizen. They didn't have apps. They have that kind of, it's escaping me now what it's called, but it's basically a way to side boot Android apps into Tizen, but it's a third party, which, you know, I wrote about it at the time, is just way too easy for Google to shut down immediately. So the Tizen ecosystem is just really, you know, not there, and the actual build of Tizen that we saw in January in Vegas was just really crude and poorly built out. And, you know, Samsung said at the time they're on absolutely no timetable to hurry up and build anything. So if you ever see Tizen, I'd be surprised.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about that, I swear to God. Which will come as no surprise to Nate. But
Who's Matthias Duarte?
he's the director of the Android experience, isn't he? User
Whoa,
experience?
You know now. You know. Good job.
Okay, so troll. All right, so next up is this crazy stove, and this is neat. This is an article from or Android Central, and it's an NFC-enabled stove. So I guess you could basically have an Android app and control it, your stove. And they said like a healthy air fry mode that uses only a small amount of vegetable oil and reduces fat intake by up to 77%. You'll be able to look for the recipes specific to the type of food you're cooking with or by the type of cooking they would like to do. So this is not exactly the Star Trek food replicator by any stretch. That'd be kind of cool though, wouldn't it? If you could, you know, I need some
Earl Grey.
yeah, Earl Grey, black, hot. Are these these are gimmicks, right? I mean, what the
Yeah.
hell practical? Do you see yourself? You know, what are you going to stand by the stove until your phone melts or your screen cracks? And
Or you drop it into the special air fryer or whatever the hell that thing is.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked seeing this. I mean, I remember when they first said they talked about Wi-Fi and capability and stuff, and they were like, it'd be kind of cool if like vending machines could tell the warehouse you need exactly this many Snickers bars or soda cans for each stop and plan it out because they'd know how many were in there. Stuff like that, you know, practical purposes. The electric company is installing they can run internet over the electric wires, so they don't need meter maids or meter checkers anymore. They save a fortune in labor by not having someone read your meter. Stuff like that. This seems kind of gimmicky, Alan. What do you think?
NFC in a stove seems really gimmicky. I mean, maybe there's a valid use, but I think it's pretty few and far between.
Wouldn't
Having
Wi-Fi
a
be
ne-
better? I mean, be better?
Yeah, having a networked appliance makes a whole lot more sense.
NFC has nothing to do whatsoever with cooking with a small amount of vegetable oil. You don't need NFC to cook healthy, okay?
Duke had
then-
the same reaction I did. Is everything that they're in this article, at least, they're touting is, you know, a benefit to the oven has absolutely nothing to do with NFC. And you know, I like Jerry. I'm assuming this whole thing is kind of tongue in cheek. The first line is, "We've all dreamed of having an NFC equipped oven." No, we haven't.
Well, I mean, what if you compare your, you know, you pair
He's trolling his own
your,
story. That's funny.
you pair your phone or your tablet to this Lightwave, and then you go off and you can tap a button on your device and you can activate the camera so that you can see, you know, what's happening, how golden brown it's getting, is it done? And you tap another button and you can even smell it and get an idea on how it's doing, right?
What if you could have a camera built into the oven
There you go.
and you could shoot the Chromecasts and you could monitor, maybe live stream on YouTube Thanksgiving dinner for someone running late. They can watch.
Well,
in
no,
their
you
car-
actually want to
Cadius can watch me cook my turkey in his car, and I can have it on my Chromecast.
You want to do it as a hangout so that, you know, you can have different people doing the Thanksgiving dinner, cooking the meal, and being able to see them all at once.
Yeah. And if you were making a crumb cake, you could do a Chromecast.
Whoa,
Oh man! Oh,
that's funny.
Reverend Bruce strikes again. He comes out with the most family-friendly jokes. Okay, unlike Alan and Nate in the pre-show, let me tell you. All right, so next up, so we're all going to rush out and buy this ridiculous appliance. Maybe there's other cool stuff that, I don't know. I don't care. I'm not buying that. But I agree with Alan that a networked appliance would be very cool. If you could control it, monitor it, etc. All right, so next, bit of a tuffle with Jeff Jarvis. Having a bit of an experience with his Moto X phone. I could intro this, but Nate, you talked to him today. Do you want to? I guess I'm allowed to say that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't a.
You hope so at this point.
Yeah.
It's not a state secret. I messaged Jeff just to kind of see what was going on. I read his posts in which he's having a bit of trouble with his Moto X order. I spoke with Jeff, and Jeff was pretty amicable to the solutions. Basically, just said that there's an error on their part, obviously, and they have yet to rectify it. So I hope that they do fix it, because his problem is, in a nutshell, he was charged full price for a phone and then told he had to have a 2-year contract. So he paid roughly $650, $700 for his Moto X to have it off contract, and then was told he had a 2-year contract when purchasing. So there's obviously, I'm ready right now to just chalk it up to a glitch in the system. But if it's not a glitch, that's a problem also.
Now,
A
Nate,
bigger problem, really.
Now,
Yeah.
Nate, as I understand it, this was while he was essentially he had early access to the My Moto or the Moto Builder
Moto
or the
Builder,
Moto
whatever it's
Maker or whatever it's called website. So he was essentially invited to do some early testing on it. So
Right.
did I get that correct?
That's my understanding as well. My understanding is also that he is purchasing the phone. A lot of people right now have early access. I think as of today, a lot of people that signed up for, I think they just signed up early for notifications on AT&T about the Moto X, got access today. The phone comes out the 23rd. They got access today, and they are promised to have the phone by the 23rd. So basically, they get first shot at the phone. So that's probably why you're seeing all of this today. The other part of it was he picked up a line in there that said he is not allowed to resell his phone, which is kind of interesting.
He just emailed me back. He just got the email, and I just told him he could call, so he might call, and then we'll put him on if he does. So it was a mistake. You can, or Nate, because I don't know, because I know with T-Mobile, I mean, like you use T-Mobile because that's a really good service in your area, but in my area, it's almost non-existent, so it's not an option, unfortunately. But if you do buy a full-price phone, can you activate it at a reduced cost on anything other than T-Mobile? I mean, can you use AT&T, or you're paying the same cost as a subsidized plan, and you might as well buy the subsidized phone if you're going to pay that anyway?
Well, when you buy a phone outright, it's basically two separate things. You're paying for the phone, and then you're paying for your plan. Now, obviously, the phone is a set price, whatever it is. Your plan is the variable. You can have whatever plan you like. So you could pay. I pay $30 a month. You could pay, $200 a month if there was a plan at that price point that suited you. So the fact that he is, evidently been charged full price for the phone, and there's something in the Moto Maker that's telling him he's got a 2-year contract is, like I said, I'm willing to chalk that up to a glitch. But if it's not a glitch, that's a huge problem.
But if I buy a phone like yours, you got the Nexus 4, right?
Right.
Could I activate that on AT&T or Verizon?
Well, you couldn't activate it on Verizon or Sprint because they operate on CDMA networks, but
Okay.
Any kind of GSM network, yeah, you can. I can take I'm on T-Mobile. I could take it over to AT&T right now and activate it there.
Would you pay the same as if you had just bought a subsidized phone for your plan?
You mean for the plan? Yeah, I mean any plan that they have available is available to you if you bring a phone in.
So if you are, but just to clarify, if you are going to use AT&T, if you're in an area like me, and I don't have an option to use T-Mobile, unfortunately,
Right.
then
Let's say I was going to come visit you for a couple weeks, and obviously T-Mobile in your area is terrible. I could go to AT&T and get a plan for a month, just so I could have it when I'm in your area. You know what I mean? Because I'm on. Technically, I own my phone, so I'm prepaid.
Okay.
So I don't need to sign a contract. I can just go to them, get a plan for a month, and just discontinue it when I'm done being in Virginia.
Okay. All right. So we'll see what happens. And what about the you can't sell it? That's one of the things that Jeff mentioned. You're not allowed to sell the phone. And I think one comment on his post was that it said someone said, "Oh, this is like glass," but
Yeah, I
you're
saw
allowed
that. And
to
I was
give it
going to
as a
ask Alan
gift, but
about
you
that.
can't
I
sell
didn't
it.
really
So
understand. I think what they're alluding to is the fact that Alan couldn't. I mean, what Alan has glass, and that's very tied into his kind of profile with Google. He can't turn around and sell that to me and just say, okay, here's some glass. They're controlling of that environment. So I don't think of it in the same respect. I mean, they're not really controlling the Moto X environment. Glass is very different in that respect. So
Well, Glass is also, and I wonder if this is again because he's in early testing on something. Glass, part of the reason why they have instituted that is because they wanted people who were actually going to do something with it rather than people who were going to
that's my point.
resell it to make a buck.
That was my point. You're going to do something with it. You can't just say, I don't like this anymore, and you're going to give it to me, because obviously Google wants to kind of control that a little bit right now.
Right. And presumably Google is going to be releasing that when it actually goes production. I'm wondering if this clause got left in for people who got early editions of the Moto X. They just didn't, again, want people reselling a Moto X that isn't on public sale yet.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, this could have been a very, an early, before Jeff, even before today, when a lot of people are getting access to it, this could have just been, some sort of like The Verge built a phone, 2 weeks ago, and they just had some language in there that basically said you can't build this phone for your review or whatever and then turn around and sell it early. To my mind, the customization of it all really limits the resale value of the phone anyway. No,
I'm not. Not at this price.
not at this price, and that's exactly what it is.
Well, that all depends. Are you counting Samsung or not? Yeah, with the name Samsung
is like,
on it.
Samsung is like Cogswell Cogs. They just like stamp out things and shove them out the door. That-
The other Moto X thing that we've been noticing there that we saw the report on was that some of the customization features aren't going to be there on day one. The engraving apparently has been pulled as an option. Did I understand that correctly, Nate?
Yeah, they have pulled that right now. I spoke to Motorola not that long ago, and they basically weren't happy with the quality of it's actually laser etching, and they weren't really happy with the quality of what was going out, which doesn't really surprise me. There's a lot of different materials and different textures and things like that, so I'm not exactly surprised that it's not up to their standards. But again, I mean, when that was a huge selling point for your device, and then you pull it at the last second, that's kind of annoying for consumers.
We're- I put that one in. Basically, this was a report, and there's a very pretty graph that's available at that link, kind of showing where people who purchase Samsung and people who purchase Apple products, what they're moving from. And it shows there's some interesting things here besides what was in the headline itself. Part of it is that both of them get a pretty substantial number of their clients, of their purchases from their existing customers. So Samsung looks like about 45 or so from people who previously owned an Android. And Apple gets about a little over 40% of their clients, of their purchases from people who previously owned an iPhone. So that's not terribly surprising. The interesting part, though, is that it looks like Apple gets about 20% of their previous users used to own an Android phone, and Samsung only gets about 5 or 6% from people who used to own an Apple. So that's interesting. And then there's what the headline does talk about, and that's that Samsung gets a tremendous amount, something like 35 or 40%, or yeah, about 35% from people who owned what they call feature phones, basically non-smartphones. Well, Apple gets somewhat less than that, about 27% or so. And one of the things they point out is at least part of this is because Samsung has the low-end devices. So people who are moving from a feature phone can move to a low-end Samsung device fairly cheaply.
Now, Dan, are you seeing some of the comments about the audio on the stream?
I'm not sure what. I mean, I've seen the meter. I'm not sure what is wrong. If you can hear me now,
Okay.
say we can hear you. But
Brad reports that it keeps cutting in and out.
well, I'm not sure what. I'll have to go back and let you guys. Okay, are we done with this topic? Because I'd like to get on my phone and monitor this and see what's going on. And is it me cutting in and out, or they're cutting in and out, or what's the deal?
A comment from my friend said that they couldn't hear the host, so I'm not sure if that's you. And then somebody else commented that Dan, you have no audio on the live stream, so
Okay.
we're kind of hearing some different things here.
So I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure if it's the mixing board, but I'm going to listen. I'm going to go on my phone and listen to it while you guys continue. And so I'll be right back.
Does anyone else have any? I mean, Bruce, you used to use an Apple device. What are your thoughts on this? Since you're obviously one who went from
Right.
iPhone to Samsung.
Well, I mean, it was. I thought it was a smooth transition for me, and of course, I'm kind of a geek person, but my wife's contract is up on her iPhone. She has an iPhone 4, and she's her sister has got an Android phone, and just went to prepaid kind of a no contract thing like Nate's been doing. Really likes it. And so she's been looking at Android phones right now, and every time she looks at my screen, she says, "Boy, I really like that screen." And her vision's not getting any better, so she really likes it. So when I think about transition, I'm thinking about my non-geek wife, and I really believe that she would have no problem transitioning. I do see a ton of people with S3s out there when I'm flying and I'm at the airport. I do that every month. So it's not surprising to me that Samsung is beating Apple in acquiring first-time smartphone owners. I think people really like the larger screen. I think Apple's making a mistake by not coming out with a larger screen iPhone.
Well, they came out with a larger screen iPhone. That's what the 5 was.
Oh yeah, but it's still skinny.
Well, the other part of the equation that people are kind of missing is the price point. Samsung's, eventually starts basically giving their phones away. And if you've got a feature phone and you walk into a cell phone store, like Sprint or whatever, and you're looking to kind of upgrade and you don't really want to spend a lot of money, I mean, you're going to get into that a lot cheaper than you will an iPhone.
Yeah, well, yes and no. I mean, we have to remember you can get the iPhone 4 for free now on contract.
Right, but I'm saying if you're going to walk in there and you don't really care if it's Apple or iOS or Android or whatever, and you're looking to upgrade to get really, really nice brand new phone, are you going to look at a S4 for $100 or iPhone 4 for free?
You're going to look at the iPhone 4 for free because you have no idea what an iPhone 4 is, besides that it says iPhone, and you're certainly not going to have any clue what a Samsung anything is.
So you're telling me that if you walked into a store and you held a 3.5-inch device versus a 4.5-inch or 5-inch device, you would go for that little device?
I'm telling you that most people who are upgrading from a feature phone would be looking for the name iPhone rather than something that says Samsung.
And according to this chart, how many Samsung gets more people from feature phones than Apple, correct?
Yeah, that's what it
Okay.
says. By about 10%. About 10% more. We don't know what that translates to in absolute numbers. All that we know from this chart is that in terms of where Samsung gets most of their purchases from versus where Apple gets most of its purchases from, Samsung gets about 10% more from feature phone users. So without seeing absolute numbers, that doesn't, it's not an easy, you can't compare that too well. But it does kind of give you some ideas about where people are coming from and why. Any thoughts on this one, Duke? I saw you nodding earlier.
Well, no, I kind of agree with both of you on several points. I don't know that feature phones. Nate and I had a discussion this weekend. I'm not trying to turn this into an iOS versus Android argument here, but iOS has done a pretty good job of indoctrinating young people with an MP3 player in the iPod Touch. And I think, you don't really get that transition from a Samsung feature phone to a Samsung smartphone. So I don't know. I just don't know what the, what the gap is there. I just feel like that there is a gap there.
It is interesting that all of the recent Apple ads that I'm seeing on TV for the iPhone is all about music. It's all about listening and dancing and all these venues. It's almost like they're touting the music features, more than they are the phone features.
Well, they always have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's always been what Apple's focused on. Okay, so moving on to the software side of the world, we have this story about Beats Audio is reportedly ready to part ways with HTC. This is one of your stories, Nate. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, HTC, when they took a $300 million interest in Beats Audio in 2011, it kind of left everybody wondering why. At the time, personally, it kind of seemed gluttonous to me that HTC would just kind of spend $300 million on Beats Audio. I understand where they were coming from. Audio, with the phones and everything kind of emerging, listening to music on your phone was obviously the way that the world was heading, and they wanted that to be as good as possible. And I understand that, but Beats Audio is nice, but it's not going to make or break a phone. Since then, HTC's had their troubles. They failed or were unwilling to. Nobody really knows exactly, but they failed to make financial obligations to Beats Audio and ended up selling half of their stake back. And now Beats Audio is reportedly willing to just say, let's just part ways entirely. HTC right now has about a 25% stake in Beats Audio, and Beats is really not. Neither one of these companies is really seeing any benefit from being a partner with the other. So reports are from Wall Street Journal is that Beats is just ready to say, forget it, let's go our separate ways.
Any thoughts on this one, Bruce or Duke?
Nope.
Okay, I was waiting on Bruce there. Yeah, I agree totally with everything Nate just said right there. I personally don't see a benefit of them being together.
It's funny, Duke, in my article I kind of pointed out that, with the HTC One, which is really HTC's kind of, monster device now, is that's what HTC is. When you heard anything about it, first of all, when you hear anything about an audio review with a phone, it's about the speakers, not so much a headphone. Nobody really cares about that. Nobody says, these sound great in my headphones, because pretty much all phones sound great with headphones. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's a Beats algorithm, but with the HTC One, you had the front-facing speakers, and all anybody ever talked about was it had boom sound. Boom sound this and boom sound that. Nobody mentioned a thing about Beats Audio. So, it's really about the external speakers, and even though the Beats algorithm is great and really, improves the sound, nothing can make up for, crappy little speakers in a phone.
We have this comment from Andrew, who's following us on YouTube. HTC deserves to go under. We'll never touch another HTC. From yet a huge fan of HTC and their great line of commercials.
HTC deserves to go under? That's tough. I don't blame him. I had an HTC phone and it was nice. I had the Evo. It was a really nice phone, but I'm not a big fan of skin devices. So
Yeah, and Andrew continues with this comment. I think the Nexus 4 should be available in shops unlocked. It would really open people's eyes, though it might hurt Samsung. Not worried about HTC, they're dead in the water. But be aware, internationally, we don't pay for phones on contract. I think that's an interesting discussion all to itself.
he's got a very good point, and yes, it is a very good discussion all to itself. And I wish there was something that more, I'm sorry, but I think I wish it was something that more Americans knew about the way the rest of the world works in terms of phones and contracts and how that all works.
I do too, and hopefully T-Mobile is beginning to get people to think about it and pay attention to it. And we'll see. It's actually pretty funny when I tried to activate a Nexus 4 for my parents. The sales rep kept trying to tell them, why would you want a Nexus 4? That's a developer's phone. You want to get something nice and cheap on contract. They're like, no, we want the Nexus 4.
Yeah, we do not want the contract.
It's okay. So next up in the software department, we have this review of Timely Clock. I believe this was another one of yours, Nate. So why don't you lead this one in?
Timely Clock is, when you think about clocks or alarm clock widgets or alarm clock apps, it's pretty boring, really. It's all kind of the same. I mean, sometimes there's a voice that says "wake up" or something like that. Timely Clock, though, it's pretty refreshing, actually. The way you set alarms, the way you snooze alarms, you can kind of just turn your phone over to snooze it. When you pick it up, it silences. It's got this function where from like 5 minutes before your wake up time, it'll kind of start slowly elevating the level of whatever tune or alarm is playing. So it's just a really cool new alarm clock app. I've been using it for a day now, and I used it this morning, set a couple alarms today, and it's just really, really sublime in a way that I have not seen an alarm clock app before. And it's got a stopwatch, it's got a timer, it's got all that good stuff. And it's not that they're revolutionizing the way a stopwatch works, but it's the way it all interacts and the way you function with it that is just refreshing. It's really nice.
I think Duke is trying to demonstrate it right now.
That was my tune.
So I don't think Dan can switch to him, however. It seems interesting. I want to look into it a little more myself. I've been thinking about alarm apps myself recently for a lot of reasons. So I'm curious to see what they're doing and how they're doing it.
Yeah, it's very cool. I definitely suggest you check it. I suggest everybody check it out. I was actually pleasantly surprised when I heard about it, and I figured, I heard about it from a friend. I figured, what the heck, check it out. And I was pleasantly surprised. I think it's a really nice app.
Now, is this did they have a free and paid version? How is that working for them?
Yeah, you get it, and it's free. There is, right now, the premium version, which unlocks everything, is like discounted to $2.99. All right, then. It's discounted $2.99, and there's all sorts of pay structures. Like if you want the ability to, design your own clocks, but you don't need the rest of what's in there, you can obviously pay for that too. It's like $1 or $1.99 or something. But if you get it right now, it's free, and for the first 5 days you have it, it is ad-free, which is pretty cool. So you can try it out for 5 days, see if you like it, and without any ads. And I went ahead and paid for the premium. I thought it was that good.
Yeah, and what did you say the price was? Because I'm sharing it on my screen right now, and it really is attractive. I mean, when I look at the clock, and then when I go to the countdown timer, like my wife, she had to go to the grocery store, and she says, "I want you to put in this meatloaf in the convection oven at 375 for 90 minutes or whatever." But this is pretty interesting. So what is it if you want to buy it?
If you want to buy right now, the premium, which is you get access to just everything that's available in there, it's $2.99 right now.
I think it looks like it's worth it to me.
Here's the big question for me: does it integrate with Google Voice commands?
Google Voice commands, I don't know. It does integrate with Google Now. I haven't really played with it that much, but they are saying it does integrate with Google Now. The other cool thing is it syncs across all your devices. So if you have it on your tablet and your phone, and you set an alarm on your tablet, it's going to be on your phone also. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool. So it sounds like I'll definitely be taking a look at that. Do you have any thoughts on this one, Duke?
Other than I'm going to check out the free version, it is very attractive. Little alarm clock device there. I'm going to play with it, man.
Okay. So moving on to our next story. This one from you, Nate. The Minuum keyboard. Why don't you
Minuum.
tell us about? How do you pronounce it? Minum.
I think it's Minuum. This is one of those. It's a new way of thinking about a keyboard. It basically, as you might guess from the name, it kind of tosses the entire keyboard at the bottom of the screen in this little row. And when you kind of drag your finger over the letters that are there, it kind of pops open basically that portion of the keyboard. So if you put, like, if it was a C down there, put your finger over the C, it would be like C, D, E. So it's just kind of a different way of thinking about typing. It was a very cool concept. A lot of people are really excited about it. Reviews were kind of mixed. I think it's just maybe too different and doesn't work exactly the way people might want or think it should. But it was in beta. It's now out of beta, and I kind of wanted to get your guys' reaction on this. It's $4 for a keyboard app, and I'm wondering if you guys would pay $4 for a keyboard app.
Well, I wouldn't, Nate, but listen, I'm a SwiftKey user. I've been using SwiftKey since the early betas, and I listen, I won't try any other keyboarding app anyway. SwiftKey just works so good for me with its text prediction that, yeah, I think that $4 is that's a pretty steep plunge for me to try something that I don't think I'm gonna like anyway.
Yeah, my kind of issue with that is, I think the Android keyboard is great. I just use that. SwiftKey is also really, really nice. I have a lot of friends on SwiftKey, and they really love it. I think the other kind of issue I have with it is Minuum had a Kickstarter, and it got funded through Kickstarter. And I don't know, I'm not damning it, but it's like we funded it on Kickstarter, and then they're going to charge $4 to people. So it's a little weird on that end for me. Just because $4 seems like a whole lot of money to be spending on a keyboard app.
Agree.
Aren't all Kickstarter projects designed to eventually be for sale, right?
What's that?
Aren't all Kickstarter projects designed to eventually be products for sale?
Well, yeah, I mean, I shouldn't say that they're all designed to be for
And
sale.
the
They're all
people who
designed to
contributed in the
basically-
Kickstarter program would probably get the app free, I would assume.
They usually do. I mean, there's also different levels of donating for Kickstarter. But the Kickstarter project is really to kind of get the development of a thing going. So I'm not damning them for selling it. What I'm saying is that for what it is, development of an app, and it's a nice app if you use it and you like it, but $4 just seems a little steep for any keyboard app.
Yep.
Okay, why don't we do, let's go to Aircast and then YouTube 5, and then let's do Nate's thing first, because I know you got to leave in about 11 minutes, Nate.
Yeah.
So the Aircast?
Yeah, I put Aircast up. Now, I don't have Chromecast yet. I'm like Duke. I've ordered it, and I keep getting these emails about when it's going to come, and I'm getting a little anxious about, when it's going to arrive. But Aircast is an app that will allow you to send videos from your gallery, your Dropbox, your Google Drive to the Chromecast device. And I'll go ahead and I'll share with you basically what it looks like, because I've installed it on my screen or on my device. So of course mine's going to look for Chromecast, and I'll be able to find it. But you just type gallery, it brings up the gallery, and then you can see the little the Chromecast thing on it. If you go back, same thing with Dropbox. I can go to Dropbox and look at some videos in my Dropbox or my Google Drive. And this is there's just a couple of videos I've got here. So I think I've been excited about getting the Chromecast because of what we know already that it will do, and what has been advertised. Other companies are going to come on board, like HBO Go and things like that. But I really like this, and this is put out by the guys from Clockwork Mod that do a lot of great work. For people who want to have some extra fun with their Android phones. So I think this is pretty interesting. What do you think?
I think my biggest concern about this, from what I've read of it so far, is it looks cool. I like what they've done. I'm glad they've done it. I think it's some cool functionality. But they're doing two things which are going to start getting them some heat. The first is they're not using the approved API. I don't know why they're not using the approved API, but they're not using the approved API. So that means that if Google pushes out an update, they need to reverse engineer everything all over again, perhaps. And we've seen people get burned by doing that plenty of times.
Yeah.
The second is, at least part of the reason why they probably did that is so they could release it. Because right now, if you develop a Chromecast app, you can't release it yet.
Right.
So it wouldn't surprise me if that was at least part of their motivation. But I look forward to seeing some of those features appearing in mainstream apps.
Yeah, and you do have to sideload this, and there's a link in the show notes for the page, and then there's also on there you can see the link to download the Aircast APK and sideload it. But it makes the Chromecast all the more interesting to me.
Agreed. Any other thoughts? Sounds like not. Okay. Did you add the next one as well, Bruce?
Well, yeah, Dan posted earlier about the YouTube app, version 5.0 for Android that's come out, and again, I can go ahead and bring that up on my screen as well. Let's see, let's go down here. Where's the YouTube app? There it is. What's most interesting about this? Well, let's go. Is the ability to be able to play a YouTube video while you're still browsing for YouTube videos. And let me go ahead and get it back up here. So like if I start playing our Android week from last week, then there's this little drop down arrow in the upper left hand corner, and I can tap that and it brings the video down here to the bottom. Of course I can move it around if I want to, but I can still watch the video and browse YouTube while it's playing. So, and I know there's some other features as well, but this is the one that seems to be most intriguing to me. You can tap on the video and it comes right back up to the top. But, it's great. It's a great app. I think it looks good. I like the functionality of it.
Certainly seems interesting. I got to ask, though, do we know what versions of Android it's available for?
I do not know. Again, I sideloaded this. It's being rolled out right now, but if you're impatient like I am and you want to play with these things, you can usually find the APK. So obviously it's appropriate for my Samsung Galaxy Note 2, but I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay. Any thoughts from anyone else about this?
I think it's cool. I like to see them update. I like to see any improvements. And YouTube seems to do a pretty good job with these things. I mean, when you don't often see a bunch of pushback. Sometimes you do. What do you think, Nate?
I was actually just surprised that everybody was so impressed with the UI. This UI is it's great, but it's exactly what you're seeing with all other Google apps. The side menu, the kind of card scrolling like you have with Maps,
Wait,
things
it's
like that.
exactly what you see with all the other apps? You mean like controls that don't exist, and it takes up the entire screen no matter what, and it crashes all the time, and sucks up CPU?
What apps are you talking about?
Maps.
I'm talking about UI.
I'm talking about the Maps UI.
I don't have any problems with the Maps UI. I don't know why you have such a rub with it. I have no problem with it. I have no problem with Gmail. I have no problem with Google Plus.
Let me put it this way, Nate. You know how usually they say that the best judge of if you want to know how to use a program, you hand it to a 5-year-old? I handed it to a 5-year-old, and he insists he's never going to use Google Maps again.
That is actually probably pretty accurate. Google Maps is a bit cumbersome.
Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point.
Okay, so
So
we're all
for
equally excited about that. All right, let's go to our recommended apps, and I'm embarrassed I don't have one, but let's start with Nate because he's got to bolt soon. Go ahead, Nate.
I am sharing one that I may have shared before. I'm not exactly sure, but it is active notifications. Everybody wants the Moto X. They like the Moto X. This is what the Moto X does. Blah blah blah. Well, this is the biggest part of the Moto X, and this is an app that you can put on your phone. Active notifications. So basically, you get an email like you're seeing right here. You get an email. It'll do just what the Moto X does. It'll actually give you a little kind of at the top of the screen. It also gives you a little bit of a, if you have one message, like I've got a Hangouts message from Dan, it'll tell me, the first line or whatever, the Hangouts message like you would get in the notification bar. So I've been using this. This is actually really, really cool. Obviously, it doesn't light up parts of your screen unless you have an AMOLED screen like the Moto X, but it's a very cool app and makes your phone a lot more Moto X-ish. So check it out.
That's cool. Active notifications. It's free from Great Byte Software. Neat. Okay, cool. So next up, let's go to Duke. Is he muted?
I think he is muted.
Yes, I am muted. Yeah, my app this week is the Blue Ridge Parkway. Now, here's the deal. I went, took my motorcycle last weekend, going to tour the whole parkway, and I discovered this app on Google Plus, and I thought, oh man, this is going to be so perfect. It's broke down into regions. It'll tell you, if you're in the Ridge region, the Plateau region, the Highlands, or the Pisgah. And the real cool thing about this app is you can go and you can ask it, hey, what's near me? So I thought, this is going to be so perfect. I'm going to be using this app right here, and I can figure out what historical things that I want to see, what are the more scenic things. Well, for this app to work, it probably needs a good cell connection or a good Wi-Fi connection. This app was just about totally useless for me while I was on the Blue Ridge Parkway because it didn't have any service. With that said, this really is a very handy mobile app if you're going to be touring the Blue Ridge Parkway for any kind of trip, pre-planning, so forth, etc. Just don't plan on using it very much if you're on the parkway itself. That's my app for this week, the Blue Ridge Parkway.
That's what a funny problem to have. An app that doesn't work in the one area it's designed.
Listen, I promise you, it is a very informative app. It's a very good app. But like I say, when I got on the parkway, I couldn't use it because I only found one overlook where I actually had a very strong cell signal. The rest of the time, my phone was dead.
Now, is this is in what states are?
The Blue Ridge Parkway starts in Waynesboro, Virginia, and runs down to the, I guess, Cherokee. It would be the Smoky Mountains. It's 470 miles long.
Okay. And they have an app. Excellent.
They have an app. It's an excellent app. Just don't plan on using it while you're on the parkway itself.
That's funny. The price you pay for.
So, Bruce, what is your app of the week?
Well, my app of the week is, if you want to use Nate's term and make your phone a little more Moto X-ish, Android Police released the APK for the Moto X camera app, and this is the app right now. I've got my phone. I'm looking at my Tech and Coffee cup. What I like about this app is, now not everything works on this app the way it works on the Moto X. But one of the things I like about it, and you're looking at it right now, it's very simple. If I want to change my camera around, I can change my camera around by poking that button. If I want to take a video, then I'll punch the video button. But one of the things I like about it is on the normal camera apps, there's usually a button at the bottom that you have to push if you want to take a picture. Now on the Samsung Galaxy Note, you can also take a picture by saying smile and cheese and other words like that. But with this app, all you got to do is tap anywhere you want on the thing, and it snaps the picture. If you swipe to the left, you get this menu item here, and there are some things that don't work on it, like HDR is disabled on it, but there's some other things that do work on it. And if you swipe back, you can put the that menu off to the side, and for some reason it's kind of acting up on me right now. Maybe I should. But if you anyway, so if you swipe to the left, you get this menu, and if you swipe to the right, it goes right to the gallery. Let's see if I can get the gallery to come up, and it's really acting up on me right now. So if you swipe down or up, you can zoom, you can pinch and zoom. I think on the Samsung app, if you do the volume up or down, you can pinch, you can zoom in and out. But it's nice to be able to just use pinch and zoom on the app itself to be able to do that. So there's a link in the show notes, and there's a link on that page that will give you a link to download the APK. You do have to sideload this. There are a number of places that it was available that you don't find anymore, and I'm wondering maybe if Motorola had anything to do with that. So the Moto X camera app's my app of the week.
All right, awesome, Bruce. And
Okay, great.
and as John Jensen notes, Under the Dome is starting, and so we'll be ending soon. Alan Furstenberg, what is your what is your app of the week?
My app of the week is Google Plus itself. For those of you who weren't aware, the latest version's been released. So we're seeing it comes with a number of interesting new features or interesting updates to features. So Photos has gotten an update, for example. You're now able to access photos from Google Drive, and that's one of the things that's available on the phones. One big change is that the location services have been updated. So now you can set whether you are you want your location to be reported in detail, or if you just want a city notification. So that and you can set which circles you want detailed, which circles you want to get the more overview of where you might be at a given time. Plus, you're now also able to say which circles you want to see map information about. So if you've got a lot of friends who put out their location service and you really don't care about them, you don't need to see it anymore. There are a bunch of other features, so I encourage you to download or to make sure you have the latest Google Plus app. Try them out. I think a lot of people have been talking actually about the new way to refresh. They seem to like it for some reason. I'm not one of them, but other people seem to like it.
I swear to God, you have 24 tabs open, Alan. 4 of them are Gmail.
Why didn't screen share turn off?
How can you tell where the sound is coming from?
Most of them don't have audio.
My app of the week is Microsoft Paint.
We have a couple of comments.
Because you can resize photos. Go ahead, Alan.
We have a couple of comments before we close up. Talking about the YouTube app mostly. From Ben, the YouTube app is awesome. To dismiss a video that's playing, you simply swipe it sideways. Works with Android 2.2 and above. Are you guys seeing this on mine?
Nope.
No. Figures. YouTube landscape mode from Andrew Jones McGuire says YouTube landscape mode is apparently quite impressive, but I haven't gotten it yet. And finally, he says, let's not even talk about maps. And he agrees with me on the problems with navigation.
So
that's it on the comments.
okay.
Wrap it, dude.
So everyone check out my recommended app, Microsoft Paint. Hey, listen, guys, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. We'll be back with Google Plus Week is this Friday, 8 p.m. Lots of good stuff to talk about, including the new feature. I mentioned that Google Translate has now come to Google Plus, so any post that's in a international language you don't quite understand yet, unless you're Mike Ellis and you know every known language, you can just click Translate. And that option, I guess, will appear if it's in a language that they don't recognize as your native one. So good for them. That's a great feature. And we'll be talking about lots of other stuff on Google Plus Week. That's Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Times are subject to change without notice. On Google Plus and YouTube Live. We want to thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it. We love you guys. And Cadius, drive safely, buddy. So we will see you next time at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific Time, for another wonderful program. And until then, have a wonderful, epic Android week. Take care now.